Well, hello everybody and welcome to Virtual Church. Yes, in the time that I've been gone, my voice has gone 3 octaves higher. Hello everybody and welcome back. After a rather longer break than what we were thinking, I'll explain more at some point in the show tonight before I get carried away with too much waffle. Hello. It's so good to be back here on the BIS organ in front of all of you guys. Thanks for coming back. Well, what did we have? You knew them all, right? I always play hymns that you know to open with. I'm sure all of you watching knew them all, right? So now thank we all our God. Obviously is a great way to start. Now, thank you, Lord God, he's back. He's back. We can't believe it. But then we went into seek ye first. Seek ye first for the kingdom of God and its righteousness. Seek ye first. You got to come and find me. You didn't. No one came to find me. I had quite a few comments saying, "Where are you? I miss you." Thank you for those. But let me tell you, God moves in a mysterious way, right? So just these things happen mysteriously. And then we had, all hail the power of Jesu's name to the tune Diadem. That one was requested by Brady, but the other 3 were requested by me tonight. So we have several more pre-requests coming your way. I do apologise. There was a bit of a backlog of pre-requests to get through, but I'm not going to get a chance to get through them all tonight because there are too many. So I do apologise if I don't play your request. However, we do have some pre-requests coming up, and then we're going to have a wonderful top 5 tonight. A top 5 based on some of the better hymns, according to this person, of Charles Wesley. So, need any more of a reason to stick around? Charles Wesley's best hymns are coming your way. So, stick around for that. And then we're going to go into a new section in VC. Can't go away for all this time and not come back with a treat, right? So this is a present for you. A new section called, and wait for it, this is witty, Pull the Pipes. That's right, you heard it, Pull the Pipes. And that's where I hand over to you. I ask you a bunch of questions. You can vote for your favourite this, that, and the other. And whatever you vote for, I'll play. Pull the Pipes. Pretty pleased with that. And then we'll go into the live requests, which is where I hand over to you and my producers tonight, who is, in the hot seat tonight is Michelle. So thank you very much, Michelle, for doing your stuff. That is awesome. Let me just check the situation with all the adverts. You got adverts tonight, have you? Well, I've got to earn a living somehow, to be honest, but you shouldn't have adverts. Well, why have you got adverts? Don't know. Are they really annoying? I'll have a look in a minute if you want. My mouth is almost in sync with my voice. Oh, well, I can't fix that. I have to put up with that, Philip. I can't fix that. That's been mentioned before. It's a bit annoying, I know. But I can't do out about it. I think it's just to do with latency somewhere in the streaming software. And I don't have the will to find it. Because if I find that, chances are, Philip, I will break something else. I don't want to do that. I'm going to use this keyboard from our friend Bill Ratey to find the next hymn, which is Day by Day and With Each Passing Moment. Again, this reminds me of my time away, which I'll tell you about in a second. It actually has been sent in by Glenn Snyder, who says, as life gets a little complicated, this hymn keeps me focused to set me back on course. Day by day and with each passing moment, strength I find to meet my trials here. Trusting in my Father's wise bestowment, I've no cause for worry or for fear. All right, thank you very much, Glenn. And let's have a go with this hymn. Have you all guessed where we are tonight, by the way? Which organ are we using? You tell me. Really beautiful tune, and it was new to me, and I know that with some certainty because it wasn't on the iPad, which is a good indication to what I have and what I haven't played before, and that definitely wasn't on the iPad. So, Glenn, thank you very much for sending it through. Okay, the next hymn that we have has actually been requested by our good friend Daniel, who is just chatting away just there, and he's been very good, and as usual has sent through a recorded massage. There it is. But just before you, Daniel, just hold your horses for a second, just before I hand over to you, just want to say where I've been. So, week 1, I had a week off, because I had 3 concerts essentially back to back in the same week. And I needed a break. I needed a break. I was quite tired. Killing me. Not quite, because I'm still alive. The second week was the week where I messed up, and I apologise for that. That was the week where I thought we had a choir barbecue to mark the end of term. But, funny story and true story, when I was down with said choir in Romsey, I said to someone at about 20 past 6, because we were chatting, and Evensong starts at 6:30, And I thought, oh, I better go and play the voluntary. I was having a cup of tea. And I said, are you around afterwards? I'll see you later. And they looked a little bit confused, you could say. And I said, see you at the barbecue. And it turned out, actually, that the barbecue was the following week. So I put together an organ compilation, which I think you've enjoyed anyway, for no reason, because I didn't have a barbecue. And so I came home, watched the compilation with you guys, and just had a nice night. And then last week, it was the choir barbecue. So I did have a genuine reason to be away last week. It was the end of term choir barbecue, which I had to be at because it's, I see that choir week in, week out. So I put together another compilation. That was the hymn compilation. And I couldn't chat because I was busy eating sausages, or snags, as they call them down under. And this week I'm back. We've been up in Derbyshire this weekend. As some of you may have noticed from my various social media posts. So Daniel Kubacki is going to announce this next hymn for us. Take it away, Danny boy.
Hi Richard, this is Daniel Kubacki. My request for this virtual church is number 422 in the New English hymnal, O Lord of heaven and earth and sea, to the tune East Kindhag. The words to this are by Christopher Wadsworth, who is the nephew of the great poet William Wadsworth. I found this tune by going through the NEH. I like it. It has 8 verses, but they're quick. I would almost call this an office hymn. It's just a little bit longer. Enjoy.
Thanks very much, Daniel. I don't get the opportunity to play that hymn very often at all. So thank you very much. Little tip, if you can remember this, about German pronunciation. Now, I'm not one to be teaching languages. There are things that I do pretty well, and there are things that I don't do pretty well. And speaking language, including English, is not one of them. But I do know this tip for German. In a word like the third word there, es ist, and then you've got a 4-letter word, Kein. If you've got the I in the E, or the E in the I, in German, it's always the last letter that you pronounce. So rather than it being Kein, it's Kein, because the I is the second letter. So if it was Kein, it would be Kein, but it's Kein. So it's Es ist kein Tag, and it's a Tag as well at the end there. That's basically as much as I know about German. And I also do know, and I do know this, if you have 2 dots over a U, I think that's called an umlaut, I think. Someone will correct me. It changes the word from something like Muller, M-U-L-L-E-R. It changes the pronunciation to Mühle. But there we go. That is definitely the absolute limit of my language speaking ability in German. Some of you have asked, what is the purple crown thing for? Good question. So this is something that YouTube have now started doing. And I've enabled it because it looks like it's going to be pretty fun. It basically tells me who my top fans are. So I don't know whether on your screen you can see there's a button that says top fans. I don't know. On my screen, right at the top of the chat, there's a button that says top fans. And these are based on donations and how much you chat as well. And you get points for chatting and for donating. I suspect donating is worth more points. So at the minute, Bill Ratey is in the lead because he put in a very generous donation of $50. So Bill is all the way up in the lead, followed by Sarah. And I suspect Sarah put in $20 in the chat. So thank you very much, Sarah. Followed then by David Beckman, who also put in $20 in the chat. So I suspect Sarah may have chatted a little bit more than David to get those extra points. So yes, it's fun. And also what I'm going to do is at the very end of VC, the person who is at the top of that list, so basically the top fan, that's cheesy, isn't it, will get a free request at the very end. Anything, any hymn you want. So, exciting stuff. Benjamin Yao is up next, who has actually requested a rather poignant hymn. And I think we need to sort of listen to this hymn and give it some respect. Because this is a hymn for Passiontide. And it's a very powerful hymn. It's from the St. Matthew Passion. It was written before that, of course, but Bach features it heavily in the St. Matthew Passion. O sacred head sore wounded. And he says, odd request for the season, but requesting this after my attendance of a performance of Bach's St. Matthew Passion. There we go, as I've just said. So I'll give you 3 verses of this. O sacred head, sore wounded, defiled and put to scorn. O kingly head, surrounded with mocking crown of thorn. And this has just reminded me of a question that I have for you. So stay tuned for that question because it is rather confusing, which is why I have to ask you this question. I have to get an answer because I feel rather confused. Here we go. O sacred head, sore wounded. Such a beautiful hymn, isn't it? So you actually heard a lot of the, well, several of the sounds on the solo here. The clarinet, and then the oboe, and then you had the cor anglais actually, up the octave. And then you also had the horn, one of my favourite stops on this organ. And you had the tremulant. Speaking of tremulants, by the way, those customers who have this sample set will be pleased to know that the echo tremulants, the remaining tremulants, are now finished. So you have been used to this sort of sound, which is such a beautiful, beautiful English sound. But you now have the tremulant. So you have a full swell sound with the tremulant. And some very delicate strings with a very soft tremulant. You can barely even hear the trem on this. So if you are a customer of SMR, stay tuned and I will let you know how to obtain those tremulants very soon. Or if you are a potential customer and you haven't yet come off the wall, off the fence, you're umming and ahhing about getting the organ, come on, I mean, what more do you want? I mean, there are some Skinner sample sets on the market, but guys, have you heard this organ? This organ puts a lot of Skinner organs to shame. I suspect Arthur Harrison was, and I say that with my tongue firmly in my cheek, I suspect Arthur Harrison, who built this organ, was hugely inspired by those, orchestral sounds that were coming out of, the Willis organs at the time, and of course the Skinner organs and the Cavaillé-Coll organs as well. Harrison, Willis, Skinner, and Cavaillé-Coll were at the time the biggest and I think most successful organ builders in the world at that period. And I think time is testament to that. Their organs have really stood up to the test of time. This one is a great example, and there were countless organs in America. You Americans know far better than me that those organs are wonderfully colourful and rich, and have stood the test of time. Other organs built from that period haven't necessarily, but these romantic ones really have. So there we go. I'll be announcing that soon. Final pre-requested hymn is a request from Derek Warren, who has asked for My Life Flows On in Endless Song. And the tune is called How Can I Keep From Singing? And then after this, we're going to go into Ben Wallace's terrific top 5. He's put a lot of time into it, and I can't wait to share it with you. But before we get to there, let's have one last request from Derek Warren, who says, I remember discovering my paternal grandmother, mother of my father. She loved to play this hymn. And however, she passed away when Derek, he says, when I was a baby, which is very sad. I'm sorry to hear that, Derek. So let's imagine your paternal grandmother playing this hymn. Maybe I should play it in a granny sort of way. I just have now images of that scene from The Simpsons in the Garden of Eden. You know the one? Let's just have a go with this. Let's get the congregation warmed up, heated up, and hopefully get them into a bit of a frenzy. Well, there we go. That brings it an end to the pre-request section. So those are all requested over the past few weeks. I picked out some of the ones that had reasons and gave a bit of variety to that section. Now we're going to move into, as I always say, my favourite part of Virtual Church, the top 5 section. This is where we get to know one of you and get to hear one of you. Today, we're going to hear from Ben Wallace, who's put a lot of time and thought into sending a top 5, basing it around the hymns by Charles Wesley. So all of these are well known, and he's been very specific about the hymn tunes. Some of the hymn tunes, as he says, depends on which country you're in, due to which one is popular in that country. So there are some hymns where I would have different tunes. Let's see what you think to this selection. Ben, I just had to tidy up your voice a little bit because there was a lot of background noise in this, so hopefully you'll be happy with the results. So I'm going to hand over to Ben now, who's going to do a sterling and a fantastic job of introducing each of these hymns. So Ben, over to you.
Hello to my dear friends at Virtual Church. There are some recent top fives that have created awfully big shoes to fill, and they have been incredibly thoughtful. So I'm going to go in a different direction and take a stab at doing a top five from the amazingly large output of the great hymn writer Charles Wesley. Of his approximately 6,000 hymns, there were likely some duds, but without a doubt there's a wide range of remarkable hymns, and there's probably at least a couple dozen that are among the greatest ever written. In any event, much of the greatness depends on the sheer good fortune of singable tunes getting paired with his wonderful verses. Many didn't get noticed until long after his death, simply because at the time of their writing, there just weren't good tunes to make them work. Some of these contemporary tunes were even composed by great composers like George Frederick Handel, but unfortunately didn't stand the test of time. Thus, for example, the great Christmas carol, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, languished for 100 years before Felix Mendelssohn penned the tune that everyone knows. It took a 19th century tune to make an 18th century poem a masterpiece. So to this very day, it's possible there's a masterful Wesley hymn or two that's still waiting for a good tune. So onward with my top five by Charles Wesley. My number five would undoubtedly be number one to some folks, but that's just how great the Wesley hymns are. It also depends on when the hymn got paired with a great tune. In the case of Love Divine, All Loves Excelling, there have been several tunes that have caught on, but most of the tunes that are mostly sung today were late 19th century compositions, a century and a half later than when Wesley wrote them, his marvelous hymn. Beecher and Blaenwern are both popular, probably depending upon which side of the pond you're on. I'll have Richard play Blaenwern simply because it appeals to me more. Before he plays, I must read aloud the marvelous last verse. Finish then thy new creation. Pure and spotless let us be. Let us see thy great salvation, perfectly restored in thee. Changed from glory into glory, till in heaven we take our place, till we cast our crowns before thee, lost in wonder, love, and praise. Number 4 is probably another hymn that would be ranked by some folks as number 1. Just tells you what wonders there are yet to come. Jesu, lover of my soul, was penned almost 100 years before the earliest tune that is commonly sung today was written. That tune, which is several of that are used, is the one I've chosen. It's called Martyn, M-A-R-T-Y-N, written in 1834, 94 years after Wesley penned his masterpiece. The last verse goes thus: Plenteous grace with thee is found, grace to cover all my sin. Let the healing streams abound, make and keep me pure within. Thou of life, the fountain art, freely let me take of thee. Spring thou up within my heart, rise to all eternity. Number 3 should be no surprise, and would probably rank number 1 in the estimation of many. Unlike numbers 4 and 5, there's no real debate about the tune of the choice. And can it be that I should gain is almost exclusively sung these days to the tune Sagina. Sagina was first published in 1825, 83 years after the hymn was first published. For those familiar with the Sagina, there isn't another choice. Before Richard plays it, I want to specify a couple things. In the fourth bar, one should go down a sixth rather than the fourth that lazy singers do. And for those who are singing along, the refrain should be the last line of the verse you are singing, such that, for example, the refrain after the last verse should be, "Bold I approach the eternal throne, and claim the crown through Christ my own." And recommendation to Richard, please play all 5 verses. Number 2 kind of makes one wonder what could possibly be number 1. But stay tuned. Oh, for a Thousand Tongues to Sing was first published in 1740 as part of a much longer hymn. Later in life, Wesley condensed this original hymn such that it started with the 7th verse, which began, quite naturally, "Oh, for a thousand tongues to sing," and continued for the next 6 or 8 verses. The 2 most commonly heard tunes are Wiseman and Lyngham, again likely dependent on which side of the pond you're on. I have selected Lyngham for Richard to play because it was composed in 1803, very shortly after Wesley's death, and bears some of the features of the music of the day, with lively, florid passages and definitely up-tempo. The great concluding verse goes thus: "Hear him, ye deaf, his praise ye dumb, your loosened tongues employ. Ye blind, behold your Savior come, and leak ye laying for joy." Number 1 is a personal choice. It may not be Wesley's finest, but it sure has a remarkable personal appeal. From the very first line, "Arise, my soul, arise," to the very last, "With confidence I now draw nigh, and Father, Abba, Father, cry," it tells of the very personal nature of my salvation. Me and my are sprinkled throughout this hymn. "Forgive him, oh forgive," they cry, Forgive him, oh forgive, they cry, nor let that ransomed sinner die. Me, personally. The requested tune for Arise My Soul, Arise is Lenox, which was actually composed during Wesley's lifetime, for a change, and reflects in a beautifully simple way the music of the time. A simple tune to highlight the personal message of the gospel. Arise, my soul, arise. Shake off your guilty fears. The bleeding sacrifice in my behalf appears. Before the throne my surety stands. Before the throne my surety stands. My name is written on his hands. He ever lives above for me to intercede. His all-redeeming love, his precious blood to plead. His blood atoned for every race, his blood atoned for every race, and sprinkles now the throne of grace. My God is reconciled, his pardoning voice I hear. He owns me for his child, I can no longer fear. With confidence I draw nigh, with confidence I now draw nigh, and Father, Abba Father, cry.
Well, what a really personal and special top 5 there we all heard, sent in tonight by our very own Ben Wallace. Thank you very much, Ben, for taking the time to put those hymns together. And of course, taking the time to announce them all. I know it wasn't difficult because you have had issues with your health, but it was a terrific job. So thank you very much. I loved hearing your voice. I loved hearing your reasoning. I know everyone else did as well. Can we all please give Ben a round of applause? I wish I could. I don't know whether I can do it without a keyboard, but you know the one I mean. Please, yes, I can. I can wave. Clap, clap, clap. There it is. There's the clap. I'm going to give you lots and lots of claps. There we go. Thank you very much, Ben. I love that. I've got a couple of others to do over the coming weeks, but once they're done, then I'll be asking people to send one in. It's wonderful hearing your voices, and it's wonderful hearing your reasoning for choosing certain hymns. Ben decided to do a top 5 hymns based on the hymns of Charles Wesley, and which hymns spoke to him in a personal way. They weren't necessarily the best and most popular hymns by Charles Wesley, as Ben said several times. So this hymn could easily be number 1, but it was number 4 or number 3. They were personal hymns to Ben. So, if you want to do a hymn top 5 list based on an author, on the hymn tunes you could do, I'm really open to that. And look at all that applause. This could be you getting all of that credit. So please do come forward, otherwise I will be approaching people. Okay, so now what we're going to do, so thank you very much, Ben. Now what we're going to do is go into a new section of Virtual Church, which I'm rather excited about. I think I'm more excited about the name, to be honest. The name is called Pull the Pipes. Yes, that's right. Pull the Pipes. And what this is simply, I ask you a question, you answer the question, and whatever you answer it with, I'll play. Got it? Easy, right? Now to do this, I need to put this keyboard over here. I've got so many keyboards. I've got 4 keyboards here, 2 keyboards here, 1 over there as well. Who needs the organ in Macy's when you got this? QWERTYs and UHTs. Okay, so if I copy that, go to Add, Start a Poll, ask a question. Here we go. So you need to answer. Choose whichever one of these you want, and the answer with the most votes gets to be played. And whilst you're voting for the first one, I'm going to play a piece by Buxtehude, which I don't think I've played before on VC. So whilst you're voting for the first one, I'm going to play this. Speaking of organ pieces, by the way, I found this. This is the Albinoni Adagio in G minor that I think it was maybe the last virtual church that I did. Someone requested it and I thought I could find it, but we couldn't find it. But I found it. So if you want me to play that, then someone let me know. Yeah. Okay, in the meantime, here's some Buxtehude, and do vote for your favourite hymn by Sir Isaac Watts. So it's a little short ditty there by Buxtehude, quite short, and I think it almost ends a little bit too abruptly. But it's essentially a fantasia, if you like, and fugue. But it's called Praeludium in F, the BuxWV 144, and I think it's rather fun. Okay, so let me see what I'm going to play then. So I'll end the poll in 10 seconds. 10. Oh, it's quite close actually. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. And the winner is Oh God, Our Help in Ages Past. It's not really a surprise, given that this is one of the most, I think, famous and popular hymns in the entire world. It's the words and the music are just so wonderful. This is obviously sung at significant, poignant and solemn services, such as Remembrance, Oh God, Our Help in Ages Past. You've always been there for us. Our hope for years to come, and you will always be there for us. Our shelter from the stormy blast, you protect us from those horrible things, and our eternal home, we will greet you in heaven. The poetry in this is really, really wonderful. The tune is equally, I would say, beautiful. I'll leave that registration actually. It's quite nice. The tune is called St. Anne. Okay, and as I'm playing this, you are going to vote for the next one. This is how this works. So you literally choose what I play by voting for it. It's a bit of fun. So this is a seasonal one. Now, you have to excuse me because we're not obviously in this season, but hey ho. There we go. So specifically, which Easter hymn, if you can call it that, is most, well, I say which hymn I should say, is most special to you on Good Friday. So which Good Friday hymn is most special to you out of the ones I've just popped on the chat? There we go. Here we go. But before that, Oh God, Our Help in Ages Past. Top 5 for me, that hymn. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for sending in 5 channel memberships. It's very kind. I haven't actually seen who else has been very generous tonight as well. So let me just quickly have a look. Quickly whip through. James Mossop, I heard the voice of Jesus say. Of course, we'll have that one. David Beckman, thank you very much. The Lord be with you and yours. Thank you very much. Bill Ratey, very generous Bill, $50. Thank you very much. Sarah Rubin, $20. Thank you very much towards the music room. Paul Salzbacher, thank you very much. Please play I am the bread of life and peace is flowing like a river. Nigel Gunn, 10 channel memberships. Thank you very much for gifting 10 channel memberships, Nigel. That's very kind of you. Jeffrey sent $5 earlier as well. Thank you very much. Sean sent 10 quid for the music room as well. Thank you very much, Sean. You're a superstar. Michelle, nice to see you in the super chat list as well as being a super producer tonight. Double thanks to you. Daniel wants me to play some Lefebvre Welly, should I say, as a voluntary. Okay, we'll see about that. But thanks for your $2. Nigel Gunn has put in $20 towards some cushions, curtains, some sound absorbing curtains. Brendan Nolan has sent in 28 Canadian dollars. Nun Danket alle got by Carg Eilert. Okay, so I've had a few requests for voluntaries. Okay, so the poll on the screen is going to close in 5. Oh my goodness, that's close. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close. Oh my goodness, that was a close one. So, How Great Thou Art, just pipped it. Okay, so this is a terrific hymn. Actually, How Great Thou Art. I actually found a really good. Let me see if I can just read this to you. A good explanation as to why this is a good hymn for Good Friday. I thought it was really nice. It sort of broke it down into clear reasoning. So let's see if I can find it. Is it still on my screen next door? Do you know what? I don't think it is. I might be able to find it though. And then we have one more. There it is. It should be there. Yes, there it is. This is nice. Let me read this to you. This is from a website called Christianity.com. I wonder what it's about on here. How Great Thou Art is based on a Swedish melody and poem written by Carl Boberg. It goes on a little bit. This hymn became popular during the Billy Graham Crusades. I don't know who Billy Graham is, unfortunately. Okay, so this song begins by describing the awesome wonder of God's creations. Thanksgiving and joy are found as the glory of his worlds are found. As the song continues, we are reminded of the sacrifice given when God gave his only son for us. Gave his only son to die for our sins. And when I think that's God, his son not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross, my burden, gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. The magnificence of the Lord is proclaimed as the hymn continues with, How great thou art, when Christ shall come, with shouts of acclamation, and take me home. What joy shall fill my heart? So this is a hymn which is actually sung throughout the year, to be honest, but the words are, I think, particularly strong for Good Friday. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder. And then the final one, so just 3 Poll My Pipes today, this week, and maybe we'll do more next week based on feedback. We may do what? The final question is a bit more of a light-hearted one. Oh, actually, I've just noticed that I've got one twice in there, so that one's probably not going to win. Might just quickly change that, actually. Let me just quickly change that because I've put it in twice. How do I spell this? Churches. Okay, let me just. There we go. So, oh, that one's minus. You're gonna have to. Yeah, okay. There we go. Which hymn tune is your favourite? There's some bangers there. So whilst you're thinking about that, I'm going to play this hymn for Good Friday. It's getting hot in here, by the way. Very hot. Good hint that. Oh, Marcus, hello. Welcome back to VC. I was just telling everyone earlier on that. It's what you've been waiting for. It's the remaining tremulants. Be with you soon. No fakery there, guys. That's all genuine recorded tremulants. Nothing fake about that at all. That's why it took so long. Because nothing on this organ is artificial. It's all genuine. Sometimes balsets just give you a fake, Hauptwerk produced synthetic woo 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 woo, and they sound utterly ridiculous. Particularly on the mixtures, it just sounds pathetic. But that's one of the reasons why I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to have the genuine thing. And you also get the noise. And then the other trem. You hear that? There we go, Marcus. I was sending out comms soon about how to get it. I haven't published it yet. I need to do some more testing. Okay, so the last. Oh, okay. I think you want me to play that one, do you? Do you know what, guys? That really surprises me. I thought you might have wanted me to play another one on that from that list. I would have thought. Well, I mean, they're all good, aren't they? You know. Oh, praise ye the Lord. That's a good one. Tell out my soul the greatness of the Lord. It's a good one. The church has one foundation, is Jesus Christ our Lord. Is another banger. And then, but Hyfrdol, Alleluia, sing to Jesus, him the scepter is a throne, is another good one. So that's the one you want me to play, clearly, because it's out in front. So, and Paul, I got it here. And we'll have a bit of fun, shall we, in this one? Let's go. And let me tell you, if you were sat in Redcliffe with that registration, your socks would be the other side of the nave. They would have been blown off. Because do not underestimate the power of this instrument in the building. It's monumental. Hopefully for your headphones, it is monumental as well, particularly with those big pedal sounds coming through and the big reeds on top in the hands. It really grabs you by the scruff of the neck and, whoa, you've got to listen to this. You feel it through you. It's so, so exciting. So that was Alleluia, sing to Jesus, risen now to reign in love. There's lots of different words that he could sing to those words, to that tune, I think. I think Love Divine fits as well. Love divine, or love's excelling. That fits as well. Brendan, it's the background is the church I was just talking about. Okay, it's the loud one. Okay, cool, right. So let's go now into, let me just go back to my list. Yes, live requests. Let's see what you've been putting into the pot today. I don't mind so much if you don't request so many hymns tonight, because in fact we've actually had a few already, and having been away, and I know I've had a few weeks off, but having been away for the weekend and having done a lot of driving today, I wouldn't mind not going on for over 3 hours. I'm not quite sure I'll be able to survive. Oh, Doug just saw an ad. Okay. I saw some of these ads on some other stream, on another stream that I was watching. Does it, tell me, does the advert interrupt the video? Or the ones that I saw, which were quite new and surprised me, were you saw the advert at the side of the stream, and so the stream's audio went quiet, but you saw the advert on the side, but you could still see the video. Has anyone seen that? Or does it cut away? This is interesting. I need to do a little bit of background digging into why it's doing that. Okay, so Maria knew. So we've got Michelle in the hot seat tonight. So thank you very much, Michelle, for doing the producing tonight. It's not an easy task. But let's, okay, so the advert takes over. Okay, that's boring, isn't it? I need to have a look at that. I don't want you to all switch off. I hope you come back from the advert, because it is dull getting an advert, isn't it? And actually, the adverts, they don't pay much money. They pay, not anywhere near enough for me to have a full-time job equivalent. No way. It's very much a part-time salary from the adverts, unfortunately. So I will see about that. Come, let us sing of a wonderful love, which is in the Complete Anglican at number 121. Let's have a look at this one then. Come, let us sing of a wonderful love, tender and true, out of the heart of the Father above, streaming to me and to you. Wonderful love dwells in the heart of the Father above. Oh, what a lovely tune. Lovely tune. The very first time I ever played that. Thank you very much, Maria New, for sending that one through. That was apparently a carryover from a previous VC. So, yeah, thank you very much for that. I just saw someone say that adverts can have malware in them or viruses. Let me just absolutely reassure you, I can say with all certainty that any advert you see on YouTube will never contain malware. That is very different to seeing an advert on a website, you know, somewhere else. But anything you see on YouTube will not infect your computer. I am certain of that. People who are more learned about these sort of things than me will be able to give you reasons, but they're safe because they go through the YouTube platform. You know, that's just a video you're watching. It's not installing software. It's just a video you're watching. But I think I've disabled the adverts for this stream. Moving on to another request tonight, which is coming from James Mossop, who has asked for "I Heard the Voice of Jesus Say." I like this one. I heard the voice of Jesus. Of course, to the tune Kingsfold. Which other tune would there be? I know there are other tunes, actually. Goodness me, it's getting hot in here. Very, very stuffy as well, actually. I might have to open... I don't really want to open the window because all of the wildlife will come in, but I'm going to open these shutters. Okay, Google. Living room lights off. Okay, Google, turn off the living room floor light. No, turn off the dining room floor light.
Turning off 3 things.
Oh, I'll have to do it manually. There we go. Okay, right, Kingsfold. Ooh, yeah, ooh. Have a quick sip of water if that's all right, guys. Oh, did you see my video that I put on yesterday about the church in Tideswell? It's called, well, it's the Church of St. John the Baptist Church in Tideswell. It's nicknamed the Cathedral of the Peak because it's a rather large church in Tideswell, larger than you would expect to find in a place like that. It's basically a, you know, it's one of those towns that you find in the Peak District, like Buxton, Bakewell, Hathersage. But Tideswell is a little bit smaller, but it's got a beautiful church right in the middle of it. And I remember going to the church as a young teenager, so must have been 13, 14, possibly, and playing for a concert. It wasn't a service, it was a concert. I was accompanying a choir, and I had an organ solo as well. I think I just played, you know, this one. But going into the church just brought back all those memories of just being a young kid, not knowing what to expect going into a concert, and, you know, being terrified. As I still do get those nerves, actually. Those nerves never truly left me. But just going in for the first time in, you know, crikey, many years, it's gratifying because, you know, we've achieved a lot since then. I've done a lot. had some wonderful jobs, met some wonderful people, and experienced things that I never thought I would experience. So that was really positive. But just like, it just makes you realise how long ago it was as well, you know, how much time is pushing on, right? Hey dear, melancholic. Let's push on with the horn. James Mossop, thank you very much for requesting I Heard the Voice of Jesus Say. Thank you, Michelle. That's ridiculously kind of you. Thank you. I suspect now if we go to the top fans, Michelle, you've knocked Good Chappie off the perch. So we've got Michelle in top now with 8,650 points. Good Chappie with 3,600 points, and Bill in third with 2,775 points. So if anyone wants to beat Michelle, knock her off that podium with the big bottle of champagne she's about to open, you've got to dig deep. You also get you get points for chatting as well. So I don't know how many points you get for chatting, but the more you chat, the better it is, actually. So keep chatting. Okay, I am the bread of... Oh, do you know what, Paul? I think this one is the one I was trying to think of the other day when I wanted to do a compilation of hymns. A compilation of hymns that I like. My favourite. I don't know what the title would be, but hymns that you really need to hear because they're really good, and hymns that you probably won't know but there's no reason not to know it because it's a fantastic hymn. I'm in a pretty privileged position here because I get to play hymns from all over the world, requested to me. Some of them are better than others, but some of them I think are really, really good. And those hymns, some often are just never sung in this country. And I just think, why? Missing out. So this is, I am the bread of life. You who come to me shall not hunger. And you know, I like to play this sort of like a responsorial psalm, quiet for the verses, and then you will raise me up, and you will raise me up, and you will raise, and I will raise you up on the last day. Get louder and louder there. So let's have a go with this. Thanks very much, Paul. You may have had an extra verse there, I'm not sure. Getting a bit carried away with the registrations and also trying to work out how many syllables there are in a bar, because it's one of those annoying hymns where the meter changes. All right, what's this one? 553A. Peace is flowing like a river. I have a question for you. This reminded me playing that hymn of, hymns that are really good but not well known. It reminded me of the question that I was actually going to ask you earlier on in the show, but I completely forgot to ask. You Americans out there, no, I'll tell you what. You English folk out there, or we could even widen it, to be honest. Anyone who's not American, this is a question for you. All right, so you Americans, shush, don't say anything at the minute, okay? Has anyone outside of America seen a TV program called The Chosen? Okay, anyone outside of America, you can answer. All of you Yanks, if that's offensive, I do apologise. I don't know whether it is, not meant to be, just a word. But you Americans, shh. Everyone else, have you seen The Chosen? This is a request from, again, Paul. Peace is flowing like a river. I'll play without the refrain this time, because time is pushing on. Sorry, my concentration wasn't entirely there for that one. I was thinking about other things. So it looks like a lot of people have seen it. Some people have heard of it. So Marcus has heard of it. Andrew hasn't heard of it. Peter has heard of it but not seen it. PGM Music has seen it. Eleanor Hart, heard of it but not seen it. Bridget, never seen it. Brendan is in Canada, yes, it's good. Margaret Kirk, who's down in Australia, not seen it. I've never mentioned it before. Marcus, no, because it's new. It's a new thing to me. It is a new thing to me. Arnold Peter, that's funny, but no, it wasn't. Anyone else? Elizabeth Kay, heard about it but not seen it. Okay. So now I'll ask the Americans. Have you seen it? Have you watched it? Okay, so who is this one for? Oh, okay. The Old 100th. Who wants this? This is from Sarah. Sarah Rubin wanted this one. I think sponsored on someone who sponsored this. Was this? Oh wow, Michelle sponsored it on behalf of Sarah. Okay. Well, I need to go down. It's on Fourscore because it's on several pages, isn't it? So I'll go into Vaughan Williams and play it. That's what you want to hear. I'll play it. I'll say why I've asked that question in a minute about The Chosen after I've played this. There we go. So that was for Sarah. And it was what was it? All people that on earth do dwell. The Vaughan Williams arrangement there, composed for the what's the word? Coronation. I was going to keep thinking of wedding. It wasn't a wedding, it was coronation of Queen Elizabeth II in 1953. And it says very slow at the beginning. Metronome equals 66, which, as I think I've said before, that is, yes, very slow, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine this. All that on earth do dwell, Lord with cheerful it's quite powerful. You can imagine a full abbey with a big orchestra. It's easy to forget that tempos over time have got faster. People do play things faster than they used to do. You know, I don't expect for 1 minute, actually, personally, I'm not saying this is scholarly at all, but I don't think if you went back 200 odd years to hear Bach playing some of his wonderful organs, I don't think you'd hear him play this. I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got into our, turned on our flux capacitor and went back into time and heard this. You know, I think that would be a common speed, not necessarily by Bach himself, but some of the other organists around. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's the tempo that, you know. And also we hear this, don't we? I play it fast because I can. But actually, you know, on those old organs, those heavy organs, I wouldn't be surprised if it was that speed. Anyway, so just going back to The Chosen, I see that it opened a slight can of worms there. Didn't mean to do that at all. But look, come on, guys. I do realise that. So it's about Jesus, okay, and it's about it's essentially the New Testament follows his story, I guess. His performing miracles, meeting people. I'm only on season 2 actually, and it is faithful to the stories, to the Gospels. However, there's a bit of conjecture in there because I don't necessarily agree with what some of you say about, you know, if a storyteller adds things to the Bible that aren't there, then we can't watch it. It's storytelling, and I think that if you're going to make a compelling story out of the Bible, if you use the Bible as the script, it would be very, very hard because there is no backstory, there is no context. Often these stories just go straight into the punchline almost, you know. These paralyzed people who were healed, who were they? You know, what's their backstory? We don't know that. We don't know that. But what I and I'm allowed to talk about my opinion, Bob's, I actually like the conjecture in this program because it does give you, I'm trying to be serious, Bobby. You're ruining the moment. It just tried to give you the backstory and the context in what I think is a sympathetic and dignified way. And the other thing that I really like about it is that it really humanizes these characters, because let's not forget, you know, these people who were writing the Gospels, like Matthew, the series 1 at least, and what I've seen in season 2, Matthew, you know, the famous Matthew, you know, the Gospel, according to St. Matthew, he was a tax collector. And it's no secret that tax collectors were not people's favourite people back then, as indeed they are now. Whenever you get a letter from HMRC, which is a tax company in this country, you always think, oh no, now what do they want? It's the same back then. And what this program does remarkably well, for my money, is it gives you a sort of a made-up backstory as to what these people were like before the Gospels were written. You know, there's a few things that are incorrect. For example, one thing that sprang out of my mind was the first miracle in the Bible, I believe, that Jesus performed was the healing of the paralyzed man, or woman, man, I think, isn't it? But in the story, it's actually when he basically gets all of that fish for Simon Peter. But that happens in the Bible, that happens later. But in this story, it happens first, simply because Simon Peter, as far as I'm aware, wasn't necessarily a believer or follower. And it took him a bit of time to sort of be really convinced to be a follower of Christ. So for the story to really compel that narrative, that transformation, in the time that you can in a series, they actually switched it around to put that the miracle of Jesus. I don't know what the story is called, but he basically just does his miracle, gets all the fish, so Simon Peter's fishing for ages, can't fish, is absolutely sick to death of it, is at his wit's end. Puts his net in, is fishing all night, not a single blooming thing, and then suddenly Jesus comes along, does that, puts his net down, fish everywhere, literally the boat's like sinking. It's amazing, really a powerful story, but it's out of order. So yeah, but to me that doesn't matter, because what it does is one of the things it says at the beginning is read the Gospels. So I think if you're going to take a story at face value, which I know people do, and I think that's a great shame, then it more fool them. If you're going to see the program and think, I want to know more about this, you're going to go away and read it and learn more about it. And it might, because of all of the backstories the program has added, it gives your mind's eye something to work with. What was Mary like as a person, as a human being? What was she like? She was a human. Jesus was a human being. He had a beard. He had to cut his beard. He had to clean his teeth. He had to brush his hair. He had to wash his feet. We see all of that in the program, and it's wonderful seeing these people just be humans. And that's what I really liked about it, actually. And the reason I ask is because I've never heard anyone talk about it. And it's now six years old, I think, maybe more than that. I've never heard anyone mention it. And I watched it and I thought, I really enjoy this. It's a well-told story. It's well shot. It's the famous story. Everyone's heard of these characters. And everyone's heard of these stories. And I just think, why is no one talking about this? So I just wanted to ask you, have you seen it? There we go. There we go. That was it, basically. Let's go on. It's like, oh, by the way, just related to, not that program, but related to taking things at face value, the series The Crown on Netflix, garbage. Started off really good. It started off fairly faithful to true life stories. Then it went off on a complete tangent and made everything up. Literally everything there was so much falsehood in there and, conjecture, but people took it at face value. Oh, this is what happened. This is what Prince Charles was really like. This is what Princess Diana was really like. This is what their relationship was really like. No, we don't know what it was really like behind closed doors. I'm sorry. It's sensationalized. So don't take it at face value. Anyway, let's go on. God, thou madest earth and heaven. 2, 4, 5 in the NEH. I think we have some company at last. Hooray.
It's later than never.
Yeah, well, it's quite a late one, isn't it? Are they down?
Yeah.
Goodness me. God, thou madest earth and heaven, darkness and light, who the day for toil has given, for rest the night. There we go. So what do you think to my little epistle there? Was it okay? What do you think? Have you seen it, and what do you think about it? A beautiful, I think, tune there to end with tonight. I think, as far as I'm aware, that was our final hymn, which we will go into the voluntary now. Thank you very much, Kosh, for sending that. How many did you send just then? 20 gift memberships. Wow. So we've got 20 new channel members now, thanks to Kosh. And our top fans. Oh, yes. Michelle. There was no chance anyone was going to beat Michelle tonight. 8,725 XP.
XP stand for?
Experience? I don't know. It's sort of a gaming thing. When you get points in games, and when you're playing online, you get XP. What does it stand for? Michelle, so you can now choose the final hymn. After what I'll do is I'll play the voluntary, and then I'll play Michelle's final request. Actually, the Canon in D by Pachelbel has come up. It's a bit. I actually don't. Might need to look at that. It's never easy to play that piece on the organ. Brendan has asked for Nun Danket Allegot. That's a good one, isn't it? So what should we have? Should we have the Albinoni or Nun Danket Allegot? Please do like the video, that would be great. All right, I want to play the Albinoni. Can we save these voluntaries for maybe for future reference? I'll play them next week. I just sort of in my mind got it in my mind that I was going to play this tonight. So Michelle, you've got 5-6 minutes to choose something. All right, so I will play the Albinoni tonight because I was going to play it a few weeks ago, but I couldn't find it in time. Sound like a little cuckoo at the end. But there we go. That was the Albinoni Adagio in G minor, the bastardized version, which I don't think we have the original version. Maybe we do, but it's known as the Albinoni Adagio, but it's actually a theme and sort of based on ideas by Albinoni, arranged by Giazotto. And I think it's rather effective though, isn't it? And it actually gives you a chance to show off the colours of your organ, as it were. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you very much, Bill. Is that enough to knock Michelle off her top spot? Let's have a look. If I refresh the screen. Oh, but it has just put you into second place there, Bill. So thank you very much for that. Now, Michelle, what are you going to have? A version of Happy Birthday? Okay. Well, we can just do that. I don't have a particularly jazzy version up my sleeve, but we have a sensible version. Should we have a sensible version for Michelle? Birthday, Michelle, for this week. No idea how old you were. I'd be surprised if you're anything more than 26, to be honest. But happy birthday to you, whatever number you are. And happy birthday to anyone else who it may have been your birthday as well. So it's nice to be back, having had, I think, 3 weeks off doing a live VC. I've almost forgotten how to do it, but where all the buttons are. It's very easy to get out of the swing of it. But we did it. I think we just about managed. So thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, now we'll definitely see you next week. We'll be getting back into our routine. There might be just 1 or 2 Sundays, but there will be a Sunday in August where we need to be away. We're away in France, so we'll miss that one. But I think other than that, I should be around. But yeah, send me through your top 5s, and that would be really, really great if you did. You send me through your top 5s, and I can play them. So I'll see you next week. You take care, you stay safe, and yeah, I will say cheerio. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks very much, Michelle, for producing tonight. Done a great job keeping all those chatters in shape. Oh look, got Bobby in the VIP seat in the background. And thank you to everyone who has been very generously donating tonight. It means the world to me. And yeah, all right, good night, take care, bye-bye.